Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public, those who are here on the island of Nevis, those in St. Kitts, those who are elsewhere in the Caribbean, those of our friends and family who are in the United States and Canada, and those in the United Kingdom. We have good listenership in all of those areas, and I say good evening to you. I trust and hope that you are well. Let me start the show with the breaking news that the Charleston Primary School has won our inter-primary school championships yet again here on the island of Nevis. Our so-called mini Olympics drew huge crowds today, and the Charleston Primary School, who are the team to beat here in Nevis, that of all the teams, this is certainly the team to beat. They are the ones who, I'm told, are now winning for the 5th straight year. And so I want to say congratulations to the athletes, of course, to their coaching staff, to the teachers, the head teacher there, to their parents, and to all of their support system. They have performed incredibly well. I'm not sure how the other schools would have fared, but I do know that I was told that Ivor Walters, Gingerland, which is Joycelyn Liburd, and the St. Thomas's Primary School were all also doing quite well. And so I will hope that somebody would call in at some point and give me the final tally. But certainly I've been advised that at Charleston Primary School, the Orange Nation, they are champions yet again. And so I say congratulations to them. They have done well, they continue to do well, and to demonstrate that they are in fact the team to beat. At the high school level, the Charles E. Mills High School, Sims Secondary School, Sims as they call it, they are the ones who demonstrate time and time again that they are the team to beat. And so too in Nevis at the primary level, the Charleston Primary School. And so I say kudos to them, congratulations. I'm sure they're celebrating. They have such an incredible support system all across the island, not just in Charlestown and its environment and its environs, but all across the island. And so I say congrats to them. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the show. My name is Mark Brantley. I'm your host for tonight, and we hope to have a good show. Now that the sports are over, I'm hopeful that some people will actually tune in and be a part of the show this evening and help me out and be a part of the discussions as it unfolds. I would want to wish everyone all of our best this evening. I trust and hope that you're all doing well. For the family of the late Mamalu Dulcina Duo, I would want to extend my deepest condolences. We had the news that Mamalu had passed, and those who know Mamalu know that she was a stalwart of the concerned citizens movement. I would want to extend deepest condolences to her family, Zumbai, of course, but my dear friend as well in Canada, Jeffco. I want you all to know, the entire family, all the children, the grandchildren, the extended family, that you're in our prayers. And so we have lost quite an iconic figure here in Nevis, Mamalu, who everybody knew from right here at Harlem Shelter. And I would want to send my profound regrets and condolences to the entire family on the loss of Mamalu. Mamalu was always the life of the party. Wonderful, wonderful human being. I remember her during Culture Armor time. Always somebody who brought so much to the island. And it is a great pity that she could not see Culture Armor 50. But God's plan is always a perfect plan. So Jeffco, if you're listening, Zumbai and all the others, please accept my deepest and most profound condolences. And it is my hope that the prayers of so many will certainly fortify you and comfort you in this hour of bereavement. Please know that whatever support that I can give and that the government can give, that we shall, because we feel that Mamalu has contributed significantly to the life and times of the island of Nevis. So please accept, my friends, my deepest condolences to all who knew her, all who loved her, and to all her family and friends. While I am in that somber mood, let me also express to the government and people of Taiwan our profound sympathies on the loss of life, property, and the destruction of infrastructure caused there by a massive earthquake that they would have experienced. The latest update that I had just minutes ago was that over 20 buildings have collapsed, that they have so far confirmed 9 lives lost, and they have over 100 nationals, residents who are still missing that they're trying to rescue. And so We know that the rescue services there are up to par. In fact, it was several years ago, I believe it was in the 1990s, that Taiwan had a massive earthquake there that killed over 2,000 people. And as a result of that, the government there changed the building code. They invested heavily in their search and rescue. And so the hope is, based on my reports from Taiwanese officials, that they'll be able to handle this particular crisis. But nevertheless, anytime we hear about natural disasters, anytime we hear about loss of life, loss of property, loss of infrastructure, we know that it is a profound tragedy for them. Taiwan has been an excellent friend to St. Kitts and Nevis. I have said it publicly, I have said it privately, that of all of our allies, Taiwan has been our best friend. They have supported us, we have been supportive of them in international fora, and they have contributed to so much here in terms of our development. There are a lot of young people walking around today with a degree. A lot of young people who are walking around speaking Mandarin because they would have been afforded the opportunity to study in Taiwan for free. The Taiwanese government has afforded scholarships, training. It has invested in our ICT. It has invested in infrastructure here. They have assisted with agriculture. They have assisted in so many different areas. Climate adaptation. They are currently involved with our recycling efforts. And they have really assisted. If you go to the Malcolm Gishard Park here, recreational park, that was done through assistance of Taiwan. Taiwanese have really invested significantly in the island of St. Kitts and in the island of Nevis, in the country of St. Kitts and Nevis. And now that they are facing their dark hour, I invite the prayers of all of us to comfort them, and that those who are injured, because many were injured, that they would have full recovery, and that those who have lost their homes, that the government will be able to find them shelter, and that the rescue services will certainly be able to save those that are still missing. And so, Ambassador Lin, if you're listening, to you and to the entire team who are based here, please accept my deepest sympathies on the loss of life there and the tragedy that has unfolded in relation to this massive earthquake. I want our people to recognize that natural disasters happen. We can't plan for them, we can't necessarily predict them sometimes, and we certainly can't stop them. It is the way of nature, and all we can do is try our very best to cope with them. And so Taiwan is now in certainly grieving mode. They're also now in coping mode. And I'm optimistic that they can deal with this tragedy as best as they can in terms of search and rescue, and of course in terms of the rebuilding effort. Thankfully, Taiwan is a very strong country, very strong economy, very strong government, and so I wish them the very best. This will be a test for their new president, but I'm pretty sure that he and his team are up to the task. And so from Little Nevis and Little St. Kitts to Taiwan, we send you our love, we send you our respect, we send you our sympathy, and we trust and hope that our prayers will comfort you in this very difficult time in your country. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been quite a bit that has been happening, and quite a bit that I hope I can get to tonight and to update you tonight. But as some of you may know, I was a bit under the weather. I'm really grateful to many who called and text and wish me a speedy recovery. I am now, I would imagine, 90+% of the way there, and I'm hopeful to be back to full fettle in short order. But I'm happy to be here, and I want you to understand that I take my role here on this show very seriously. Yes, there are times when I ask colleagues to fill in for me because of travel or otherwise. There are times, as last week, when my colleague, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, stepped in at short notice. There are other times when colleagues offer to do the show because they would like to handle a particular topic. But all in all, we take this very seriously. And I recall getting home this evening. I had had a longish day doing various things, and I felt a bit tired. But I said it was important for me to be here to keep this date with the people of Nevis and the people of St. Kitts, particularly those in the diaspora who I know tune into this show to get a sense of what is happening on the island. And so I thank you for being loyal to the show all these years, to listen to the show all these years, and I pledge to continue to do my best to bring you information that is accurate, debate and discussion which is enlightening and uplifting, and I hope that this show, when the history books are written, will warrant even a footnote that we did our very best to promote the very best of St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of debate, public discourse, and that we contributed in some small measure to that ideal of freedom of speech, freedom of expression that is so important to our democracy. And so I want to thank all of you, because this show is not possible without you. I want to also thank the firm, the law firm of Daniel Brantley, because that firm has paid for this show every single week, every single month, every single year. For the 15 plus years that we have been here on this show, that firm has paid for this show. And that means that that law firm has ensured that the show has been on air and that we have not had to try to sell commercials or go to commercial break. We remain the only commercial-free talk show program in prime time in St. Kitts and Nevis. We don't break, we don't go to commercials, and because that is due to the generosity of the law firm of Daniel Brantley. So I say thank you publicly to the lawyers there, the partners and staff, for making this show possible and for continuing with it all of these years. I am truly, truly grateful. I think that they too will warrant a footnote that they supported freedom of expression on the island of Nevis and in the wider Federation. And so I say thank you to them. Now, as I indicated, there is quite a lot that's happening, quite a lot that's going on here. We have Culturama 50 that is approaching, and the preparations are ongoing for that. I visited on the weekend the Culturama venues, the cultural village, and the cultural complex. We have employed some 12 or so contractors to work simultaneously on various aspects of that project to get it done. We have encroached on the ETW Park, but I don't want anybody overseas or here at home to be alarmed, because the area that we encroached upon is on the hillside. And so that hillside would be, I think, towards the eastern end of the park, if my directions are correct. But certainly that's an area that is really only used for parking. It is not anywhere close to the plain area or close to the field itself, the field of play. So we did encroach by removing a wall there that was falling down, and we're now in the process of replacing that wall and making sure that we have a bit more space in the cultural village, but also to make sure that we have a safer environment. We will be putting in some VIP boxes, because we have had the requests from many corporate houses here on the island and in the country that they would like to have VIP boxes. Those will be done at the village. We also intend to extend the stage area, because some artists have complained that the stage area is too small. They want more space for the equipment and for their performances. We're shifting some dressing rooms. We're building additional toilets and bathroom facilities. And at the cultural complex, we are redoing most of the booths there so that they can be more comfortable and provide their services to the public in a far better way, in a far better environment. We will be really renovating and improving and uplifting those two spaces in a significant way. You would realize that the Cultural Village was a venue that we created in terms of its new look just a few short years ago. Well, we are now improving it even further. And I continue to say to our people, particularly our entertainers, our bands especially, that the venue is available to them. I would really like to see that venue being used regularly, not just at Culturama time, but being used by promoters, being used by bands, even the local bands here. What is to prevent Odyssey or Ultimate Band or Core from saying, listen, we're having a jam session in there Saturday night? We have a situation in Nevis where the bands appear to only play music at Culturama time. And I always say we must take pattern of the bands in St. Kitts. Small acts, New Vibes, Grandmasters, they are playing all the time. And when nobody is willing to hire them, they have their own gig. That's what we need to get to here as well, because only through ongoing playing and producing music that you build your fan base, and of course the musicians themselves get better at their craft. If you're only doing it at Culturama time, it means you're only doing it once a year. And music and the creation of music really ought to be a continuous undertaking. So the government has built the venue, they're now improving the venue, and I'm here to tell you that the venue is available to you. Those in St. Kitts, you want to come over, you want a nice venue for a promotion, the venue is available to you as well. We really want that venue to become a mecca for entertainment, live entertainment on the island. And we encourage you. There are bathrooms there, there are booths there, everything you want. Lighting, it's all there. And so we encourage you to come to a safe and rather beautiful environment to have your shows. And we're pretty certain that those Nevisians and Kittitians who are coming home for Culturama 50, that you too will be very impressed with what we hope to be able to accomplish there in very short order. And so I certainly look forward, I encourage you, and I look forward to the contractors being able to deliver in short order what we are hoping to get done right there at the Cultural Village and at the Cultural Complex. So I say kudos to them, and certainly we look forward to them producing. We are also doing some work now in Church Ground at the basketball court there. I want to say kudos to the team there. They're working rather quickly, and to say to the Church Ground community that I'm aware that they're having a big reunion during Culturama, and that facility will be one of the main areas for staging their various events. Well, we are aware of that, and as your area representative and the Premier of Nevis, I've said to the team that we must be able to produce for Church Ground a venue there that they can feel proud of and that they can accommodate the various events that they intend to have. And so Church Ground, we got you. We are going around the community. We are looking at various ways that we can improve. I will encourage the public again to take advantage of our Culturama 50 incentive package. We have created a special incentive package for those homeowners, those business owners who want to spruce up, as we say locally, their buildings. We're saying to you that if you want to paint up, if you want to fence up, if you want to do your driveways and all of that, then we've removed the duty, we've removed the custom service charge, and we're only charging you the VAT of 17%. So there's a significant saving available to you. So we're encouraging you, paint your building, paint your home, fix up your home, fence your home, do what is necessary, because we want Nevis to be in pristine condition for Culturama 50. We always want it to be in pristine condition, but especially for Culturama 50, we're encouraging you, please. So we are hopeful and optimistic that people will take advantage of the various opportunities that are there to really improve the aesthetics of the environment. Now let me be clear. This does not extend to you if you want to add a room on your house, or if you want to do some construction, if you want to change your roof and all of that. This does not extend to that. This extends really to the aesthetics of your place. We are hopeful especially that those in Charlestown, those building owners in Charlestown, will use this opportunity to give their buildings a bit of a facelift. Some of those buildings can do with some paint, they can do with some power washing. We're just asking you to really partner with us in a significant way. And we are leading by example. We have teams out even now who are repainting various areas around the island, making sure that the island is in tip-top shape. And I'm optimistic that you will be pleased with our public spaces, with our squares in town, etc. As we move closer to Culturama, you will see the effort that we are making. But we want our private citizens to make that effort as well. And so if you own a building, you own a home, spruce it up, nice it up, improve the aesthetics, and the government is prepared to partner with you by offering you, as I said, duty-free concession and custom service charge free. The only thing you'll pay is the VAT. And so feel free to go down to TDC, to go to hospitals, wherever you go, and to ensure that you take advantage of this. The process is to go to the Ministry of Finance, get your forms, you apply there, and they will give you the necessary letter to get your goods and get your materials so that you can contribute to lifting the appearance of the island for Culturama 50. So that's a very good initiative. I'm told that many are already responding, and I encourage you to take advantage of it as well. Now, it is just 25 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. If you're just tuned in, my name is Mark Brantley, and I'm your host of On the Mark. And we are going tonight, as we go every Wednesday night, until 10 p.m. That is the aim, God willing, that we will get to 10 p.m. But we will, of course, at some point open the lines and allow you, the members of the public, to participate in terms of your phone calls and in terms of your engagement. Let me take this opportunity to extend congratulations to, first of all, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, and secondly, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, Why do I put them in that order? I put them in that order because the water taxi facility was really the brainchild of the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. He was the architect of that. The cabinet supported him 100%. We secured some $6 million from the SIDF, and we went about firstly acquiring property at Wally. That wasn't cheap. We had to acquire a beach house there that was on the beach, and then we had to build the pier. The pier was constructed, and that pier has been serving us in a very significant way since it started. Well, just a few days ago, we had the pleasure of opening the building that is now the building which we are calling the administrative building. And so we have the opportunity now for persons no longer to be on their tent, but be able to go into that building and, ladies and gentlemen, to get the benefits of so doing. And so I say kudos to them, because when people do good work, we must celebrate them. And Alexis Jeffers stayed with that project even after he was no longer the representative in St. James, even after he was no longer in the cabinet at the Nevis Island administration. He continued to be there at a regular intervals, lending his support. And so, Alexis, if you're listening, kudos to you. I tell people all the time that your DNA is on so many facets and aspects of the infrastructural development of this island. In housing, in agriculture, that police station over there at Newcastle, that water taxi pier, that farm down at Indian Castle, and I could go on and on. The kitchen up at Joyceton Library Primary, the housing revolution we see over there at Madden's, the University Heights housing. You have been asked to execute those and more, and you have delivered. And I like that, delivered. I think it's King Connery and Singers have a song about show me your trophy. Some talk, but others deliver, and you have delivered. And I want to say thank you. If nobody else says thank you, I want to say thank you. So when I see that opened over there, I'm grateful. Eric Evelyn, the Deputy Premier, took on those ministries, and he took it to fruition and brought it to a close. I want to thank Dexter Boncamper, the manager at the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, Camille Kelly, who was the architect and project manager on the job. I want to thank all of them for their tremendous contribution to making that facility a reality. I want to thank Vaughn Anslin, because he did some amazing artwork on the interior. Next time you travel, you'll have to go through there, so check it out for yourself. The keys have been handed over to NASPA. They will now run the facility, and I know that will be in good hands with the manager there, Oral Brandy, and his team. And so we certainly look forward. And if there are those out there, who have any doubts that there is some concern about the value added at that Wally Pier, let me say this to you. In 2023, January, there were 19,767 passenger movements at Wally. 19,767. 10,132 persons arrived via that facility. 9,635 people left. So a total movement of 19,767. Now, of course, if I leave in the morning and come back in the afternoon, I'm counted twice. So we understand that. But 19,767 people in January alone in 2023. Well, in 2024, that number jumped from 19,767 to 24,197 people. So this January 2024, some 24,197 crossings, movements, passenger movements occurred at the Wally water taxi facility. In February of 2023, we had some 17,966 passengers crossing back and forth at the water taxi facility. January February 2023, 17,966. This year, February 2024, 24,075. From 17,966 to 24,075 in January. That is now, in February. Then in March of 2023, just last month, you had 21,312 passengers using that facility. Movements back and forth. 21,311 in March of 2023. In March of 2024, last month, that number jumped to a whopping 26,019 passengers. 26,019 passengers. So the increase is quite significant. Quite significant. So if we were to take 19,767 plus 21,311 plus 17,966, we get a grand total of 59,044 passengers. 59,044 passengers would have used that facility in the first 3 months of 2023. If we now look at 2024 and we take the 24,197 from January plus the 24,075 from February plus the 26,019 from March, we get a grand total of some 74,291 passengers. Almost 15,000 more passengers have used that facility for the first 3 months this year as for the same period last year. 74,291 movements over there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is incredible for the first 3 months of this year. And it tells us how viable that facility is and how important it was to have made that investment. I continue to make the point that despite the naysayers, despite the negativity, that water taxi facility was built by this government to support the water taxi industry. And hear the word I'm using, industry. And it is an industry which is 100% Nivision owned. I want people to make a note of that. The water taxi industry that plies its way between St. Kitts and Nevis is currently 100% Nivision owned. And when I go there, I see more and more young people getting an opportunity to work in a critical sector of transportation between these islands. You want to talk about vision? You want to talk about a government with foresight? A government with ideas which are tangible and which contribute to the well-being and development of this island? That project is an incredible project for the benefit of all. And sometimes I'm using the facility because I use it often. And when I'm there, some of the people that I see, I smile. You know what I smile? You know why I smile? Because sometimes those who criticize the bakery are the first in line to get the bread. And I'm smiling because when I look at some of the harshest critics, they're getting their ticket just like me, to get on the same water taxi just like me, to get over to St. Kitts just like me, and the convenience of it. And I say, praise be to God that we do not always listen to the naysayers, and we have learned to ignore the noise and focus on what we are achieving, because when you have a vision for the development of your country, you must seek to execute. Despite what is said, for all of those, there were some who say, oh, we're destroying the beach. It is the best beach on the island. Well, the beach is still there. In fact, I see them now have beach chairs and all put out over there. They have not interfered with the beach. But the level of activity and commerce and jobs, 74,000 people moving in 3 months at that facility. It speaks to the vision. It speaks to the wisdom. It speaks to meaningful development. And we entrusted that to the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, and he has delivered, and I will continue to publicly say thank you to him, because he was doubted by many. A lot of people said a lot of things, but the proof of the pudding, as it says, in the eating. And there it is. And I want our people sometimes to reflect on these things. You hear all the talk. When we were going to build the Mondo track, and I always publicly give credit to a young man called Timothy Keynes, because he was passionate about it. And when he and I discussed it, I too became passionate about it. And I went to the cabinet and I advocated for it. And we were able to do that. In fact, he managed that project and got it through to fruition. And when we were going to do it, Lord, you hear all kind of thing. We putting it out there, goat and sheep. The dump is next door. The flies, the stench, the this, the that, and the noises. And I said, listen, ignore the noise. Let's focus on getting that facility done. And guess what? We have seen the wisdom of putting down that track, to the point where when the Kim Collins Stadium was under repairs, St. Kitts turned to Nevis to host the inter-high school event so that our athletes could have the same level IAAF certified surface to run, and the only 9-lane track that I'm aware of in the region. Brand new technology from Mondo. Great lighting. When I went there today and I saw our youngsters on that surface doing their best, running on a top class internationally certified surface, and I reflected and I said, just a few short years ago, those children would have been up at the ETW park running on grass if we were lucky. But if the season was dry and we weren't getting any rain, they'd be running on dirt. And we took our children from running on dirt and grass to running on IAAF certified surface. And there were people in this country who said it should not be done. But we did it. And when you look at the thousands that gathered today at the Mondo track to witness the staging of the mini Olympics, our inter-primary sport. When you look at the students from Charleston Primary who emerged victorious, I'm told they got 18 goals. Joyce and Library Primary School, I just got a note here, got 13 gold medals. They're in second place with 11 silvers as well and 11 bronze. St. Thomas's Primary also got 13 goals. They got 7 silvers and 7 bronze. Ivor Walters, my alma mater, they got 6 goals, 15 silvers, 15 bronze. St. John's Primary looks like, what is this? St. James Primary School, I'm sorry, 7 goals, it looks like, 5 silvers, 1 bronze. Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, 2 goals, 4 silvers, 8 bronze. Nevis Academy, 1 gold, 4 silvers, 2 bronzes. We have the Maud Cross Preparatory School, 1 gold, 3 silvers, 1 bronze. And the Viogen, the Violet O. Jeffers Nichols, 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 6 bronze. And the Charleston Primary School, 18 golds, 13 silvers, and 13 bronze. So there were 5 gold medals ahead of the next contender, which was the Joyce and Liebert Primary School. So a convincing victory by the Charleston Primary School. But imagine that all of these young people are now running on a proper surface. So when, for example, we had 5 youngsters who made it from Nevis onto the St. Kitts Nevis Carifta team and went to Grenada, you know what? They are accustomed to running on the right surface here. They are accustomed to running on an internationally certified surface. So when they leave here and they go to Grenada, they're not suddenly moving from dirt to an official surface and don't know how to adjust. They are accustomed. You see what that does? I believe in England they have a term, I love it. They call it leveling up. Leveling up. We have leveled up our children. Because even as between our students and those in St. Kitts, there was a disparity. Those in St. Kitts at the Kim Collins facility, they know what it's like to run on a proper facility. Our children up here running on dirt and running on grass. And some of us wanted to keep it that way. Some of us argued that that is the way that it should be kept. And we said no. Our children deserve the best and we have given them the best. And the result is there to see, just like the water taxi, with all the naysayers, just like the Mondo track, with all the naysayers, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. It is there for all to see. And the thousands of people who gathered there today. I wish I could get a tally, because when I was there I said, well, people over there like ants. The thousands that would have gathered there, cheering on their school, cheering on their children, knowing that we have a first-class facility in Nevis. Sometimes I drive by my quiet moments, there's nothing going on out there. But I look at the beauty of that facility. It is one of the most picturesque facilities in the entire region. It is beautiful, breathtaking. I'm sure you're going to see the photos that are going to be circulated, because as our creatives now use drone technology, you get some fantastic photos, especially at nights. Guess what? You're also now having football over there, because the middle of the facility was designed to accommodate football. And so you have games in the St. Kitts Nevis League that are being played there. I want our people to sometimes just take a step back, because sometimes, you see, the negativity is so often, it's so constant, even though it's the same handful of people. They make so much noise that a lot of people out there start thinking, oh my goodness, you know, this thing must be really horrible. Things must be going terribly in Nevis. And sometimes, you know, that's what we listen to. So that is what gets piped into our consciousness. But the reality is so fundamentally different. I looked over there. I have not heard of any incidents. I hope that there are still no incidents of violence or crime of any kind. Just people, Nevisians, Kittitians, visitors. I met some people there who are from Gulf Insurance. People came from Trinidad. And the gentleman told me he brought his wife with him this time, and he said we're going to spend 5 days because we love it here so much. He said, man, this facility, the ambience, the excitement, the vibe, it's incredible. That warms my heart, because the only thing that used to be over there was bush and sheep and goat. We now have a first-class facility where we can host an event of the magnitude of Interprimary, the magnitude of the TDC Inter-High, and we host it right here in Little Nevis. I believe that true Nevisians, patriots of this land, will feel proud that we have invested in such tangible ways that people can see the difference. When I go down to the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, sometimes, you know, people don't want to be honest. Sometimes people feel that if they say, well done, they're being political. No. You see, the Malcolm Gishard Park might have been built. It was a project that I championed. But it's not my project. It belongs to the people of Nevis. And whoever's in government tomorrow, as I exit the stage, will have it there to serve the people of Nevis, because that's whom it was built for. I can't take it home with me when I go home. I can't, if I were to move off Nevis, take it with me. I can't, if I end up down in Britannic tomorrow, as all of us are headed to, take it with me. It is there for the people. And when I go there sometimes, I sit quiet in my vehicle and I see the activity. I see the children over at the splash pad shouting and screaming in joy. I see the people on the lawns relaxing. I see them there at Seal My Sip, that smoothie shop. I see them over at the games room, the two vendors that we have there at the park. I see just families sitting on the benches, walking. Sometimes people have their stroller. They're with their children in the play area. They're playing basketball. Then I go there for events and see conferences. We now have a conference space. We now have a meeting space that has been created. All, of course, the vision of the late, great Malcolm Gishard. And I reflect on that and I say, who can really look at a project like that, aesthetically pleasing, You go there and you become calm right away. It is the quintessential park design. Designed to attract people, to bring people in, and for people to relax. It is an investment in the wellness and well-being of this island and our people. Where other people would have taken the money and said, listen, I want to put up a concrete building. We said, no, we want to build that park. It was Malcolm's idea, and we want to execute it. And that is why we named it the Malcolm Guichard Recreational Park, after the great Malcolm Guichard of blessed memory. And we executed it. Again, you heard all kind of nattering neighbors of negativity, all kind of noise. But again, you had a vision. I point to just 3 projects. There are lots more. If you go over to the Newcastle police station, the poor police officers over there were getting shocked when they touched the wall. The conditions were deplorable, unfit for anybody to occupy. And return to the same Alexis Jeffers. And I will say, I've said it before, that when I sat in certain places where decisions were being made, there were divisions in that room who said that Nevis not need a police station over there. I think that's important that we understand, you know. There were divisions in the room who said Nevis not need a police station over there. Let the police then buy some extra cars and let them only have cotton ground and gingerland and let them patrol. And Alexis Jeffers, who was not in that room, said to the cabinet led by Vance Emery at the time here in Nevis that he will not sit back and allow that police station to move out of St. James. And he made a compelling case at the time this plantation was open. He spoke about MUA, the Medical University of the Americas, being over there, the airport being over there, Oali, the water taxi facility. He talked about the size of that parish, running as it does from Westbury all the way around to Zion. He spoke about it. And he made the case, compelling case that we absolutely needed. And you know, I'm going to say something tonight. The Mexican government gave money to those 3 police stations in the Federation. 3. When we got into office at the federal level in 2015, 2 were already on the way, if I recall, and were completed subsequently. One, I believe, I hope my mind is correct, but one I believe was in the Dieppe area, and one I think was in the Tabernacle area. I hope I'm correct in that. And there were some forces in St. Kitts, in the cabinet that I was a part of, that wanted the 3rd one also to be built in St. Kitts. And we said, Lord, you mean you get 3 and you're going to take all 3? When the police and firemen were in such deplorable conditions over here in Newcastle? And you had a lot of hemming and hawing and hemming and hawing, and then one of them said, oh, we need the money, we must use the money for water and for all kinds of other things. And you know what the Nevis Island administration did? We went to the bank and we borrowed some money. I believe it was from First Caribbean, as it then was. And we started the project. And when the project was nearly finished, the federal government at that point came forward, and I believe they contributed $1 million or so, if memory serves. And we were able to finish. That project cost over $6 million. We borrowed 2. The federal government, I think, put 1, and we put the rest. But again, you see that fellow named Alexis Jeffers? He said to me, it has to be done. And through the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, he ensured that it was done. Drive by it now. It is far and away the best police station in terms of the aesthetics and the look in the Federation. Don't take my word for it. Drive by it over there in Newcastle. And see if you can remember what was there before. And what some wanted to remain there. So we don't need a police station. We don't need a police station. So I just want us to reflect. Sometimes we're quick to vilify people. We say all kind of things about them. Alexis Jeffers ended up losing an election by 8 votes in December of 2022, forgive me. And I know that the people of St. James are really regretting what they did, because I talked to them. And when they look at the contribution, not talk, but the results that are there. I mentioned the Wally Water Taxi Facility. I mentioned that same police station that he almost single-handedly fought for. You know what I like when I see a man passionate about something? I say, yes, this is somebody that I can get behind, I can support. It has to be done, and he got it done. When I look over there and I look at Madden's, all of you who coming home for Culture Armor, please put it on your calendar, your list of things to do. You must go and see the Madden's house in development. And when you leave Madden's, I want you to drive up and go and see University Heights. You need to. And you reflect that all of this that I just mentioned, is in the same St. James. In the same St. James. Apsaris development, a private sector development, St. James. Roads, St. James. Shaw's Road, St. James. Butler's Road, St. James. So sometimes you ask yourself, what is it that people are looking for? What? Sometimes people say, I just want something new. Well, in a democracy, the voice of the people is the voice of God. We have to respect that voice. I've never been vexed with people how they vote. But when you start to really evaluate the contribution that people would have made, and that's why I speak as passionately as I speak, because there are too many out there who are willing to cry down this island, willing to criticize, willing to denigrate, willing to say all kinds of things. When in reality, we should be saying thank you for what you have done and for what you continue to do. For the grace of God and the strength of God, we have done much. I saw recently that a lady called Jenna Bush Hagar was here. She stayed at the Four Seasons Resort. And she is a host of a show on the Today Show, leading show in America, reaching, I'm told, over 1.3 million households on a daily basis. And she came to Nevis with her family, went back on the show and said the most wonderful things about our island. One of her posts that she put on Instagram, she said, my body is in New York, but my heart is in Nevis. I love Nevis. And I did not know who Jenna Bush Hagar was, but when I did my research, it turns out that she is the daughter of George Bush, President George Bush, and the granddaughter of the first President George Bush, George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. Her grandfather was the President of the United States, her father was the President of the United States, and she now chose to come here with her family. Of course, her grandfather, President Bush, had also been here. But I want to say tonight, kudos to the Four Seasons, kudos to their staff, because they continue to create exceptional experiences for visitors. And I found it interesting that Jenna Bush Hagar said on the Today Show, and wrote how, her body is in New York, but her heart is in Nevis. She said, I love you, Nevis. And it reminded me that when we had a famous black American actress here, Nia Long, that she says, my heart belongs to Nevis. That is what she said. And you know the reaction in some quarters? They cuss the woman, you know. How dare Nia Long come to Nevis and say Nevis nice? And say her heart belongs to this little island. How dare she give us that good exposure? She must go back and say Nevis full of crime and cockroach and rodents and people on here dead hungry and starving to death and everything bad. That's what she must go and say. But Nia Long said, my heart belongs to Nevis. And now Jenna Bush Hagar, the daughter of President Bush, the granddaughter of President Bush, she comes and she says, my body is in New York, but my heart is in Nevis. I love you, Nevis. And I found it so interesting that somebody on social media said, I wonder if they're going to cuss Jenna too. I wonder if they're going to cuss Jenna too. Because one has to think for a moment. How much must you hate the island of Nevis for you to be vexed with somebody who come here to visit and say, Lord, they love it? How much must you hate us? And the irony of ironies is that the very people who vex with somebody for saying Nevis nice are the people who tell in the visions, we have your best interest at heart. And vote for us because we want to take this island to the next level. They're saying that we want to make Nevis nice, but people are already coming and saying Nevis is nice, and when people say so, they're blue vex. Blue vex. Lord, I remember one of them tell me along some things, all about she man and who she man this and I said, Lord Jesus, they gone straight in the woman's bedroom. Because the woman said, my heart belongs to Nevis. That's what created all the furor. That's what created all the anger. That's what rise up the answers. Because somebody who's an international star came to the island and praised the island. And how dare anybody praise Nevis under Mark Brantley? How dare anybody say things good in Nevis under CCM? They must always say things are bad. So if you find a little pothole, take a picture, put it online, and say, Lord, look at the pothole. Recently we had the opening of the Holy Water Taxi facility. Beautiful facility. Oh, them open it, and me sure them not going to use it. Me sure you not finish it, me sure this, me sure that. Making the most noise from the cheap seats. Making the most noise from the cheap seats. Some of them miss the trough because they used to have the whole body in the trough. And I take them out so and I said, dash way, come out the trough, not more for you. Go out there. Learn what it's like to go work for a living, because you're in here living sweet, living free, living sweet, and not even understanding what is happening. So go along out there, go look work, see how things be. And then you hear them, kitty cat flam all over the place, saying the worst things about the very island that they say they love. You think me could go out there and say me love my wife? Oh, I love you long time, I love you, love you, love you. And then somebody say, oh, she's a beautiful woman. Say, beautiful what? Beautiful what? You should show me when you get up in the morning. You should show me, you should see face. You should show me the hair in a comb. Beautiful what? Well, that mean we not really love her. Because when them say what a beautiful woman, I should say, of course, she's even more beautiful than you think. That's what you must say. You must say, of course, she's the apple of my eye. But not them. Because the constant drumbeat of negativity must always be their guide. They must continue down a road of continually saying, Nevis is bad. There's nothing good about Nevis, because they're fearful that if one job is created in Nevis, if one business is opened in Nevis, if one good thing happens in Nevis, if one person says Nevis is a great place, that somehow Mark Brantley and CCM going to get credit for that. So let me cuss them. So they cuss out Nia Long. And I'm praying they don't decide to cuss Jenna Bush. Because all that these people did was use their celebrity to help Nevis. We not pay them, you know. We didn't hire them to do anything. They came on their own account and were willing to say to their millions of followers around the world, my heart belongs to Nevis. My body is in New York, but my heart is in Nevis. Nevis, I love you. And people who say they're Nevision, stone moderation vex that was said of Nevis. I just can't understand. I can't understand. These people who say they love Nevis, but vex with anybody who praises the island that they say they love. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't make this up, you know. I can't make it up. That is why the people of Nevis have consistently, election after election after election, they have consistently said, we prefer the Concerned Citizens Movement. It is not by chance. It is the people in a free and fair democracy making their choice and making their mark for a party that they have confidence in, a party that has demonstrated the type of leadership that they need. Because I am telling you, no matter whether I am government, out of government, I am in opposition, I am wherever. You see, if you cut me, the blood that comes out mark Nevis. That's what they say. If you drip down and form a puddle, the puddle going to be in the shape of Nevis. This is all I have. And when you're passionate about your island, you're patriotic, you want the best for your island, you can't join nobody to cuss it. No, you can't do that. You can't vex with somebody who comes and says nice things about the place that you call home. That tells me that you don't have an ounce of patriotism in you. Because you see, for some, Nevis is merely a vehicle. They want to get someplace else. Some are very unhappy with their lives. They feel they've not achieved anything. And every morning that the Lord blesses us with, we also understand that we move closer to that inevitable end. And so a lot of us feel frustrated. We say, Lord have mercy, I know in my 60s, when we going to get a chance? But the people of Nevis keep saying consistently, no, we do not trust you. We do not trust your intentions. You have not demonstrated to us that you have our interests at heart. You've demonstrated that you want to use us and use the island to get to where you want to go. And we're not in that. If you want riches, go find hard work to do. If you want success, go out there and get it like other people get it. But don't try to raid the treasury. What I say? A lot of people no plant no corn, but they want to raid the barn. So Nevisians are very good at saying, you want to raid the barn, go out there, go plant the corn. Nobody think you're going to reap where you did not sow. And I believe that that is the wisdom, the collective wisdom of the Nevisian people. That is their wisdom. And they're consistent in their approach. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm passionate about what I'm saying, you know, because when you're armed with the facts, you can speak in a very passionate way. But the clock is telling me it's almost 5 past the hour of 9 and the show ends at 10. So I'm going to zip my lips, cut off my soliloquy, and open the lines to allow people out there to call, because I know people have things they want to say. And some may well want to call in and talk about the sports or any other thing that's on your mind. I want you to call. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. As I wait for the phones to ring, let me express my profound gratitude publicly to Tash McCoy. Tash organized and helped me execute a massive cleanup that we did over the Easter weekend of white goods in the upper St. John's area. And we moved a tremendous amount of goods on Saturday and again on Monday. I want to thank the homeowners who cleared out their space, those who couldn't bring them out. We had some youngsters with us. I want to thank them too. Spent all day Saturday with them on the truck. They went back on Monday, and we were able to do quite a bit. I want to thank Solid Waste, my good friend there, Mr. Hendrickson, the manager there, who's always willing to help. I mean, keeping this island clean is his passion, and I want to thank him. But thank Tash McCoy, because he really was the driving force. And I want to tell the people of Lower St. John's that we are coming back. And wait for us, because in not this week, but the following weekend, we will be taking care of Lower St. John's. So that is from Cane Garden down to Bath. We'll take care of you then. Now let's go to the phones and take our calls. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mark.
Good evening to you.
This is Kino Claxton.
Hey, how are you, Kino?
Yes, sir. I listened to you. I just spoke about the facility at the OLE Pier.
Yes.
I heard us talk about the police station. Right? But are you aware on the 23rd of this month, there was an incident took place on that same facility?
What is the nature of the incident?
Where there was a young guy. I don't know what altercation they had over there, but the one of the boat had a cutlass, and the other one, that's what I saw. There was a video circling around where I saw that 3 police officers brutalizing this young man for no reason, boxing him up. He didn't get a chance to defend himself, right? Well, to be honest, I was at the hospital. I wasn't with no Mr. Dale Morton. He was in the hospital on Thursday. He got a stroke. Are you heard that?
Yes, go ahead, caller.
Yes, no problem. Well, I happened to have Alex Miles stroke myself on Saturday.
Oh my.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the young man that they brutalized on the Sunday came in the hospital on the Sunday. So 3 of us ended up in the hospital. The young man happened to have no clothes because he came in naked. What happened to so happened, he's my friend. So I had to use half of my clothes to clothe him in the hospital where he was there.
Why is it he had no clothes, caller?
Excuse me?
Why would he come to the hospital without clothes?
Well, the officers brought him there without any clothes.
Okay.
So I was wondering why they brought him without any clothes. I mean, that was not really my business, but when I really look up at the guy, he happened to be my best friend, one of my best friends. So I had no choice to have him out. And he was there, he never had anything to eat. I buy stuff, I do everything to keep him there. But then I realized something, he had like a little mental issue, like everybody have mental issue, right? So whatever the key is, this got trigger off the incident over there, right? That's really not my business, because when I tell you Mr. D had a stroke, and I was suffering from high blood pressure, so I couldn't really do much for myself. I had to help Mr. Dale. So it was a kind of thing about between 3 of us. I'm sick in the hospital. I have to help Mr. Dale. I'll be with this guy, and I get discharged on Wednesday, but I decided I'm not going to leave the hospital because Mr. Dale was still not well. So I asked him to extend my time for the next day. However, I get the extension, so I stay with him, and thank God, he came out the same Thursday together. He's home now, I'm home now, I'm feeling much better. Mr. Davis' speech is not 100%, but he's much better. Now, Mr. Mark, I'm going to say this, right? You talk about the police station, you talk about everything, and I was listening carefully. Are you aware that the next incident happened back with me and the police officers? Because I went to church and I said a testimony. You aware of that? On Sunday.
No, I'm not aware, caller.
Okay.
I'm sure you would agree. I wouldn't be aware of everything. So. Right,
and that's fine. But I'm informing you, I did a testimony at Barnesgate Church.
Yes.
Right? And it's out, the video is circulating. I mean, I'm a child of God now. I changed my life since I got shot. So I do my little testimonies. But my testimony, what I was trying to tell the Federation, because of the lack of the behavior of the police officers, I said one thing, that something is going on in what's the place now? The place in Haiti.
Yes.
Where the gangman took over the police station, and now the government can't do anything about it, and they free all the prisoners. So I said, give me the police officers are going here in Nevis. That's the direction we're going right now. I mean, Mr. Mark, I said that in my testimony, right? And I'm telling you now that this morning I was arrested for what I don't know. The other guy was arrested. This morning, they wanted to send the guy to sting it to Her Majesty Palace 1980. They wanted to send me to 1840 this morning. What did I do? I did nothing. Mr. Mark, you know me? I never heard nobody need it. All I do is to help people. I love people. So I was confused this morning that I ended up in court this morning to be prison to go to 1840. I mean, I laughed over this morning in the court. But,
all right, caller. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. So the case started this morning, and they wanted to charge the young man to sentence him for prison. So I had to stand up for him because I asked, why you guys gonna send this young man to prison when the officers did damage to him? They didn't charge any officer, but yesterday he had to go to Her Majesty's prison. As far as I know, if he has a mental problem, the only thing best for him would have been into a hospital or a mental facility, not prison. So why me and he have to go to the prison? But I'm going to say this, Mr. Mark. There's something I have that people want, right? And they can't get it. That's why they're going to keep fighting me. But once you believe in God, you will live, and you will live for God. And forever. Amen. Mr. Mark, with that, I'm not going to take up your show. We will talk another time.
All right. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you, caller. And I allowed you, obviously, to have your say. But I didn't want to interrupt. But I think that there are a number of things. First of all, you started from the premise that you don't know what happened. And I believe that for me, put things in context. Sometimes we see a video, we see a clip, we see whatever. We hear a story. But we don't know what happened. And so I can't speak to it because I don't have the facts. But I will say this. Our police come under criticism a lot. I choose when I have to talk to them to speak to them privately and never to criticize them publicly. But I'll say to you, caller, that I don't know the police to charge people without there being some basis for it. And if the police not only charged but took people to the court, as you say, then they don't just take up people off the street and carry them to court. That's not the way our system works. I'm not saying that all the charges that are laid are justified or all the charges people get convicted. But certainly the police would have had to have had some suspicion of some illegality or criminality in order to arrest and charge and take to court. So I am more than curious at what you're saying because there are some gaps. And I would really like to know a bit more in terms of that. Even the account you have of the hospital. We have a hospital that is fully staffed with doctors, with nurses, with nursing assistants. Why would you as a patient have to extend your stay in the hospital to take care of patients who are there? So these are just some of the questions. I'm not, of course, doubting your story. I mean, you clearly say it with passion and with belief. But I have my own questions that I would want to ask. And certainly I would intend to ask these of the relevant authorities here to find out what could have happened and what the position is. But I always warn our people not to take one side of the story or to take a video clip that we see or whatever and take it out of context. It is useful for us sometimes to understand what happened, what led to this, as opposed to just seeing the this and starting to respond to the this. Sometimes it's important to know what led to this as well. Let me go back to the phones. It's 1:15 the hour. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Of course, this is your friend, Navy.
How are you, my dear?
Yes, I am very good.
Yes.
I just heard somebody speaking very badly about my second home, the Alexandra Hotel. And I am saying this because I just come out of the hospital the day before yesterday. I had 9 wonderful, lovely days here. I had the nurses and the doctors who were at my beck and call. I didn't have to go to the fridge to get a cup of water if I needed it. I just said, nurse, please, and it was there. I am a person who has a hospital journey for over 20 years now. There was a time every 3 months before I changed my lifestyle, stopped eating certain things. I was in the hospital. I have complications because I've had 9 surgeries, and praise God, not wood. They were all done at the Alexandra Hospital, where I had friends and family around. Gratitude, gratitude. I am so grateful, so thankful for my needs. Because, as a college student, I've lived in the U.S., and I know how difficult it is to get medical attention sometimes. I've also lived in Asia, where I know it is not as easy as me walking into the emergency room of the Alexandria Hospital. I want our people to be grateful, little or much. God is in it. And at the end of the day, our nurses and doctors are our sons and our daughters, our mothers and our sisters. They are just humans like us, not knowing everything, but willing to try to make the sick feel better. And if they can't heal them, to at least be in pain gracefully and with dignity. The road not bad if one pothole is in it, because we can still get from A to B. We are in the world of social media, and these are not fallacies. When we see children in their uniforms swinging on a rope, trying to get from one side of the river to a next, or this leaky canoe being captained by one of the older classmates or schoolmates so that they can all get in with their socks and shoes in their hands. And we are talking about Caribbean islands like Guyana. These are realities. We are not living them here. And we have to know that in order to get things, it doesn't come without finance, without money. I wonder why people think a palsy $25 a month for garbage can buy 6 garbage trucks. I wonder why. I wonder if they don't realize that the $2,700 salary that they come home with is unable to give them everything that they want and everything that they need. And therefore they make some decisions that they would say, I will have to forego this for now in order to get that. It's the same thing with a government entity. Money has to come in. You have to make prioritizing decisions and decide where will the money go. Are we living hand to mouth? Some of us are, because we make some bad decisions. But can the government carry all the bad decisions? No, it is unfair. How about if we start getting up as humans and lending a helping hand to our friend in need? Some of us have some old clothes, and you know what we do? Nah, they're not people to forward, give them, they burn them up. Maybe if they carry them and Red Cross, the people would have been willing to buy them for $1. Maybe if they had carried them in a strategic point, people were willing to accept them and accept a kind helping hand. Like God said, the man in the corner who just prayed quietly, not the blackguard on the street beating his chest saying, I gave Tom this and Peter and Harry this. When are we going to practice humility? When are we going to stand up as a people and believe in this little rock called Nevis, this queen of the Caribbean, that we are indeed blessed. We are a democracy, and we allow people to have their opinions. But rather, when we have our opinions, that remember the good as we voice the bad. And saying, I live in the hospital there. Why? And I live a happy life every day. I have 3 openings in my stomach wall that my intestines push through and get caught. When this happens, nothing comes out, nothing goes in. I just want to vomit and vomit and vomit and heave. Sometimes it doesn't come. So I had 7 days with a tube down into my nose, into my stomach at the Alexander Hospital. And I am out here. I am weaker and a slimmer and I feel good. And I said, praise God and thank you to the staff at the Alexander Hospital. Even down to the very maid that serves the meal and those that clean the floor that says, Mavis, so come down, the floor is wet. Mavis, what is it you do eat? Don't do that, don't eat that one. That wasn't yours, that's a mistake. And they were vigilant. And they did the best that they can do as humans. So I want us to stop being haters. And you know what haters are? Hating. We hate ambition. We have animosity towards everything successful. That is what haters mean. So if you know people talking about you, you're doing something good. Nevis is the place where you go away to study, and when you come back, your friends then stop talking to you because they say you move up to another level. They don't know that you will want to take them up to another level with conversation, with their thinking. But please, land of beauty, this Nevis is ours. Let's treasure it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And I am always grateful when you call in because I think we get a lot of wisdom. The type of wisdom that can't come from any book. It comes from living. It comes from experience in life. And the one word I take away from you tonight over and over was grateful, gratitude. It simply means that we are thankful for what we have. You know, I reflect that I read something someplace some time ago where they say that a youngster was complaining bitterly that he didn't have any shoes. And then he looked and he realized that the person next to him didn't have any feet. And he said, wow, I'm actually in a better position than that person. And so while I was ready to complain, perhaps I ought to be grateful. And I think that all of us need to practice that. Because I hear all in this saying, and sometimes, for example, whatever the motivation may be, they attack the hospital. I heard somebody who's one of the big spokesperson on radio for the opposition said that the Alexandra Hospital is where people go to die. Those were his comments. And I said to myself, but you're doing that because the next comment was, of course, to attack me as if I work at the hospital. I said, listen, when you make those kind of comments, you know who you are attacking? It's the nurses up there, the doctors up there, the professionals who, like you say, don't always get it right because they're humans just like us, but they go to work every day and try their best to serve the public. And that's who we're attacking when we make those kinds of comments. They may think that they're doing it for political reasons. They're scoring a point. There was a point in this island where anybody who went to the hospital and passed away, they announced it to the world as if somebody had won the lotto. And I kept saying that these are our people. Well, who the doctors up at the hospital be? They're from Jessups and Cotton Ground and Charleston and all around Nevis. Who are the nurses? So when we are quick to condemn the hospital system and condemn the health system, we are condemning them. And so I'm happy that tonight you're calling to say that you went there and you got treatment that was acceptable to you. I know we don't always get it right. The island does not always get it right. Our people do not always get it right. But sometimes if we remember that we are all human, and which of us has not made a mistake? Which of us has not fallen short from time to time? But if you fall short today, but you are excellent for the rest of the year, should I only remember the time when you fell short? Or should I also be willing to celebrate you when you have been excellent? And too many of us, when they fall short, we prepare to crucify them, drag them through the mud. But we forget the 364 days of the year when they were excellent. So I'm glad for this call, caller. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. And feel free to call in any time.
You're quite welcome. Let's not talk too much, but I just remind them. I make my living by talking. I am an educator, and I'll do it where I can.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your call.
You're quite welcome, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Now, yesterday, the 2nd of April, marked the 2nd anniversary of the passing of the Honorable Vance Emery, who was Premier of this island of Nevis from 1992 until 2006, and then Premier again from 2013 until 2017. He was the only person who have done that, and he would have been our longest serving Premier. He passed away on the 2nd of April 2022, and yesterday, as I said, would have marked the 2nd anniversary of his passing. I was very pleased that the Concerned Citizens Movement, some members of the executive, that we assembled at his gravesite to lay a wreath and to pay homage and to honor his memory and respect the contribution that he would have made to the people of Nevis and to the island of Nevis, but not only to Nevis, to the wider federation as well. Those who knew Vance Emery would have known that he would have contributed to cricket, football, athletics. He would have been a banker. He would have worked in government as a public servant. He would have been a teacher, a head teacher, and eventually he would have served as the Premier of Nevis. And so he has had different hats, different capacities. He packed a lot into his lifetime. And we wanted to say to the family that our prayers continue with you. So I was very happy to be there and to have been able to lay a wreath with my colleagues in memory of the Honorable Vance Emery, who we lost 2 years ago to the day, yesterday. So I believe that there are many people out there who he would have touched in a positive way, and certainly we know of his contribution in different fields all across the island of Nevis. And so I just wanted to say that tonight. I know that his family is in diverse places around the world, but that they do listen from time to time. And so I hope that they would understand that we continue to remember the contribution that he would have made. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 28 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. It means that we have 32 minutes left in the show, and we're inviting you to call 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Now, I want to go back to saying a word about our cleanup. Okay, before I do that, let me go back to the phones then. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Dear Mark, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening to you, brother. I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, well, you would have mentioned so much tonight, put so much on the table.
Yes.
Tonight, and you last mentioned in reference to my friend, the Honorable Vance Emery, and I mean, there's so much that we would have said before, and we still haven't even touched and so much that he would have done, but we are just happy and grateful for the time. Well, I can speak for myself that I got to spend with my friend for so many years, whether on the phone, privately, at his home, or elsewhere. And, you know, he would have made a tremendous contribution in so many areas which you rightfully would have said, and we hope that he will continue to rest in peace. Okay, I will just leave that part for now. You would have mentioned in reference to the water taxi, and let me say in reference to the sports, which now we could say that it's over now, so we just have to look forward for that another time. We had sports in St. Kitts in Nevis, we had the Carifa, we have, you name it. And we were happy for the excellent representation we received from our athletes. Yes, they could have done better, and there's always room for improvement. And we just have to thank them for the effort that they made, that they put out. And also, you would have mentioned in reference to what took place this afternoon, ended this evening over there, which is a normal annual thing for this primary school sports. And sports, it is something that I take very seriously as a commentator, as someone who loves the game, especially cricket and track and field, football, sports in general. I think you reported that everything went well, right?
Yes, so far. I've had no adverse reports.
Right. Because you now have to wait for the official update in terms of attendance and hope that they had no bad behavior and I don't understand where people want to leave home with the foolishness and the nonsense and come where you have decent people to create confusion instead of choose to come out to enjoy yourself and to have a good time and to go back home in peace. You also would have mentioned in reference to the unfortunate situation in Taiwan. I have friends who are studying there, and it's really, really sad because when you look at even the position where people are trapped, maybe still alive, need service, need support, but can't get it. Painful that could be, Mark?
Go ahead, Paula. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Right, and this. If you die, at least you're not around to really continue to get pain or whatever. But when you're in a place, and you're in pain, you need help, so you're suffering. Boy, that really, 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 when I think of it, still hurting my heart. But I just want to say, in reference to the water taxi, I am tremendously proud of the tremendous leadership, vision, and contribution by the first Prime Minister of this country. Because of his vision and his government that built that Peninsula Road, which was opened and officially the 24th of December in 1989, that water taxi, which I have to commend the people who came up with the vision to provide the service, because it is an excellent, needed, and important service that thousands, you would have mentioned over 74,000 people so far, and only 3 months, right? 3 months, that is tremendous economic opportunities and benefits for poor citizens of our country. So all the money is expected to turn around in the economy. And we are very proud of his leadership. You mentioned in reference to Taiwan, he is the one who decided to have established the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis. And the kind of benefits that this country would have received over the years from Taiwan. And these people were mocking when he did it in 1980. In the 1980s, he also established within the first country in the world to establish the CBI. And look at what the CBI has done to this country. Then he went down there and acquired 25 acres of seawater and turned it into land where the Port Brantley is. Tremendous amount of benefit. So when you look at all of these signature investment, Tom and Dr. Simmons, talking no, nothing to do with politics. We're talking people who would have made contribution that will impact the people of this country in a positive way for a lifetime. For a lifetime. And that is what I am extremely, extremely proud as a citizen, as an individual, and as someone who I can tell you, I don't know about you, but I love this country of St. Kitts and Nevis bad. Real bad. You know? And I know you would have touched on so many different areas because we would not have the time, and I would not have the time because I will give somebody a chance. There are so many different things that I really want to touch on, but I probably maybe will pause here for now and give somebody a chance. Hope that if I want to come back in, I will get back in because there are so many other important things that I want to touch on, and looking forward for the opportunity to continue the dialogue.
All right, my brother.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. As always, I love when you call, and I love when you call at this time because I can allow you to get through your submission and say what you need to say. Sometimes you call towards the end of the show, and of course, it's a bit more difficult. So thank you for calling at this hour. You're right. I think when we look at St. Kitts and Nevis, we have to give credit where credit is due. We have to. You recall when the Southeast Peninsula Road was put in, it was said to be the road to nowhere, if I recall correctly. But it is now the lifeblood. It is what allows Park Hyatt and Christoph Harbour and those places to be there. And more development will come over there because I think that will now become the golden strip, so to speak, of the island of St. Kitts. It is the area that's closest to Nevis. And so, again, that connectivity with the water taxis is absolutely critical. Citizenship by investment, absolutely. The idea came during that time of Dr. Simmons, our first Prime Minister, national hero. Port Zante, absolutely. The idea came again, and the execution during that time. So we must give credit. And I keep saying that government is a continuum, you know. When you get into government, you inherit the good and the bad. You must build on the good and try not to repeat the bad. But it's a continuum. And each of us who takes government takes it from the person who was there before, the people who were there before, and it is our job to build and to make sure that when we hand off the baton, because the baton must be handed off, you know. Some people think that it won't be. It has to be. Hopefully it's somebody in your party, but sometimes it's somebody on the other side too. That is the nature of life. What goes up comes down. The baton must be handed off. When the baton is handed off, then the hope will be that whoever now takes that baton continues to build. Not to just destroy and wreck what was there. New government could not just come in and say, man, let me knock down Port Zante, we don't want it there. Let me dig up the Southeast Peninsula Road, we don't want it there. Let me outlaw citizenship by investment, we don't want it. No. You build on it. You try to enhance it. And you move the country forward. Let's go back to the phones. We're still there? No? Call up. Please call back in. 869-469-1616 or 869-469-1700. I was at an event recently. And let me take this call. Caller, good evening. You're on the mark.
A very pleasant evening to you, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you as well.
I'd also like us to express our gratitude and appreciation to young Troy Nisbet and Skylar Connor, who represented the Federation at the Aquatics for the Carissa in the Bahamas, and also to their coach, James Weeks. I think it was historic that those two youngsters, Troy from Charlestown Secondary and Skylar from Gingerland Secondary, represented us very well. It was historic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you. These two youngsters indeed have represented us beautifully, and I join you in congratulating them, and I trust and hope that they continue in that vein. In fact, the debate has now started about us getting a pool in Nevis, and I am committed to it. We do not have the finances to make it happen, but we have a couple avenues that we are pursuing, and I'm hopeful that we can work with the St. Kitts Nevis Swimming Federation to try and put something together that our athletes in that area of swimming can benefit. Let's go back to the phones. We have 20 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, good night, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening.
I've been to a couple of villages like Butlers and Brownhill where I see excellent roads and walls. And I'm wondering where cotton ground comes in. I don't know, we might not be able to get the walls, or we need roads and drainage. You know, we did the uplifting. I don't know if y'all could help us.
Caller, the short answer is we always try to do what we can. Cotton ground poses some peculiar difficulties in terms of in the village itself. We have recently put a road there what we call the Banjo Road. The previous government would have, of course, done the main road coming from Barnsgut, through Barnsgut and down to Cotton Ground. And we would have recently done the Island Main Road, running from the 5 turning and then going along for the rest of the Island Main Road towards the airport side. The problem really has been within the village itself, the village roads. And I will assume you're calling so you know Cotton Ground. So I will take you, for example, from the area there as you enter Cotton Ground. If you're going from 5 turning and you turn into Cotton Ground, you go across that road. The first right that you can make, which will take you up to the shop there. What my friend name now? Garita. Right?
Yeah.
That road there, for us to do anything to that road, we would pretty much have to relocate some persons. That road there, you know how Cotton Ground is. That road is, people live literally on the edges of that road. And that road really is only wide enough for one vehicle. So we have been looking at Cotton Ground. We are trying to figure out what we can do, because we are committed to bringing better infrastructure to all of the communities in Nevis. But the difficulty with Cotton Ground is when we look at it, we may well have to come up with a design that makes some of those roads one way, because it may not be possible for you to get a road like Brownhill, Shaw's Road, or Bath, or even Butlers in some areas of Cotton Ground, just because of how the homes are laid out and how the properties are laid out. So I use that as an example going up by Garita, that area, and ask you to look at that and really, how could we do a road there that is wider and that would allow us? We would have to pretty much move some people.
Okay.
You know, and so that is some of the difficulty, but we are committed to doing where we can. I know, for example, that we have had representation that from the Island Main Road coming into Cotton Ground, now coming now towards the juncture there, that area, we can do something there to try and assist. And so we will, caller, and that's the commitment that we have. We certainly will, but some areas in Nevis pose acute difficulties because of just how the villages are set up. And it is not impossible, but it does mean that we are going to have to buy people's property from them, relocate them, in order to get roads into some of those areas of the same quality that you find in some other communities. Some areas are very easy. Brownhill was easy in the sense of you didn't have to do too much taking in. People were not living as close as they do in some areas of Cotton Ground. So it's not that I'm trying to say it's impossible, it's just that it is one of the more difficult infrastructural areas to work in some areas of the interior of the village. But we are committed to doing what we can. As I said, some work has already been done, but more on the outskirts, not in the village proper for Cotton Ground. And the only area over there I think we can address in short order would be the area from the Island Main Road and into the center of the village there, where you have the turning. You can go down by Aussie them, this and that them, or you can go up by Garita, or you can go straight along. That area I think we can do some work in, but when you start the turns them, you're going to have some serious demolition in the village. And that will lead to now a debate with the villagers. Is that something they want? Because one thing people say they want a better road, you know, but when you tell them you don't have to give up your house, will they be willing to give up that in order to get a better road? I don't know what the answers are. But we'll continue to engage. Caller, I
Okay.
assure you of that.
Thank you for thinking about us.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay, good night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very much, and thanks for the call.
Yes,
It is quarter to the hour of 10 o'clock. We're going to take as many calls as we can for the next 15 minutes. We invite you to call at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Now, just to tell you that I go back to the white goods cleanup that we had. Let me go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, the Honorable Mark Brantley.
Good night to you.
Good night.
Yes.
Yes, Mark, I listen to you attentively and listen to the program because I always listen to the program. Let me tell you something, Mark. Mark is really voters supposed to make the government or the candidate who we vote for to represent us accountable for whatever. You understand? Because when we vote for a government and the opposition lose, then who was in government lose, and they have something good idea there, something good, a good project there, a good program, and they remove that program because of the political whatever, they move that program. I believe that the people are supposed to speak out against these things, not because they support a political party. Because when the program fails, you fail, the country fail, and everybody fail. But because of your party, and your party do it, because of your party do it, do whatever the program be, or do whatever it was, you ain't gonna support it. Oh, no, get rid of that. No. But Mark, I telling you plain, in this country, little country thinks it may be. Politics is really ruining the country. Now, sometimes other people on the way that shows them sometimes right now, because sometimes I get fed up at the crying down, the calling down, and everything. Election every 5 years. And let we analyze the government good. Not wrong, we criticize constructively. But every day coming on with different story, different thing. Some people calling, but people starving, people hungry. That isn't it. That isn't it. Can't be ready there. Who want to starve and hungry, or who want to get themselves in that condition alive. You understand? Because other people coming in and getting work. Other people coming surviving. Some people farming. Some coming in and farming, selling land to farm. You understand? So I believe that, Brother Mark, that sometimes we got to show the blind politics. You see some of the other countries how they end up because of the blind, ignorant politics. Some leaders end up become dictator because of the ignorance of the people. And this is the thing that we can't follow anymore. People supposed to go rise up to the politics, understand what's going on, analyze your representative, who you vote for, and all those things. Say we representing you. Not because he might do something that you want in your constituency. And then because you're not pleased, because you're supporting them, you want to speak out and talk against it. Anybody not have a wonderful night. God bless, and God think it news. And God bless all the who went out to represent the Federation in the character game. You have a wonderful night, brother.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for that. It is 12 minutes to the hour. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Now, I was talking about cleanup, but we're going back to the phone. So that's all right. We're going to take the calls. Those are more important. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Hi, Mark.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, let me just touch on one thing and leave probably the rest for another time. In reference to the free movement, because over the last maybe month or two, and different forum, the head of the government, the Prime Minister, was asked the question in reference to the free movement, and he has never answered that question. Up to now, the country has no update officially in reference to what the position of St. Kitts and Nevis in reference to the free movement. And I am very disappointed because up to now, I am not aware of any update where the Prime Minister officially had any serious update with you as the Premier of Nevis. So I don't know if you want to give some comments, your views in reference to this position, the free movement across the Caribbean.
All right, caller, thank you very much. I have...
I could stay on line?
You can stay on the line, but I have, week after week, I've shared my view. I have said more than once on this show, on my press conference as well, that I believe that the smaller states of the OECS, and speaking more specifically for the smallest of the states, which is St. Kitts and Nevis, that we cannot countenance a full freedom of movement protocol, because we will be easily overrun. That our size of our island, our land space, our infrastructure, housing, our healthcare sector, our roads and transportation sector, our jobs and economy, that our education sector, that will be overrun very easily. I've used the example time and time again to say that because of the disparate size of countries within the CARICOM region, that we are but a dot compared to, say, Jamaica. And I reference that if 10,000 Jamaicans were to move to St. Kitts and Nevis, we would be overrun. But if 10,000 Kittitians and Nevisians were to move to Jamaica, I don't even know if it will be noticed. So that is how fundamentally different the two countries are in terms of size and scope and ability to absorb people. Having said that, I am a proponent of greater integration, but I believe that we have to be practical and recognize that we are not all evenly placed or equally placed. Some of us are tiny countries, microstates like St. Kitts and Nevis, and we can't expect that the rules that apply to a larger state such as Jamaica or Haiti. Haiti, for example, let us consider, has over 11 million people. Let me say that again.
Of economic challenges.
Let me say that again. Haiti has over... I'm not even getting to the economic challenges. I'm only dealing with the population.
Yeah, the population.
So
yes,
Haiti has over 11 million people.
We also have to look in terms of the position.
Yes, but I'm making a point.
Caller. In many different ways. Infrastructure, economic, economy.
Caller, I am making a point. That's not based on those things. Let me finish my point. My point is that Haiti has over 11 million people, as an example. If 10% of the Haitian population decides to go on the move, you're talking about over 1 million people moving throughout the CARICOM region. To put that in context for listeners, the entire population of the OECS is not 1 million people.
Yes, and you're correct.
So, but less than 10% of Haiti moving would be more than the entire population of St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat put together. So, I just think that we need, my position, we need to commit ourselves to greater integration, but to say that the smaller islands like St. Kitts and Nevis need a carve-out. We need to be able to have special rules that apply to us because of our size and because of our limited capacity to absorb large numbers of people moving here. And that, I think, is just a practical position. But I've said that over and over. As my position, I've said so very publicly.
And I would just like to say and to ask you, because are you happy with the position that the Prime Minister of this country has not discussed this matter with you officially as the Premier of Nevis?
Well, it's not about being happy or unhappy. We met the Prime Minister and I met for 2 hours just yesterday. The matter did not come up. It wasn't on my agenda and it wasn't on his. We had a number of other matters that we discussed.
Yeah, but it should have been discussed before, and I know this is something definitely, because he would have discussed things with you, and there's certain things that I definitely gonna get into, you know. I'll probably deal with those things another time, because this government, when it comes to this Prime Minister, where he's still campaigning, instead he take the country seriously in reference to so many different things. all when he has his press conference and all kind of forum is to just, do all kind of campaigning. The people are hurting, seriously hurting in so many different ways. And that is why just the other day when one of my friends gave a lady a job, and he said, well, how are you doing? No, me ain't doing good. Me done with labor. And he said, you a big labor woman done with labor? And she said, well, you ain't even know what's going on. Bigger labor than me done with labor. I mean, I am saying that right now, listening to the people, because that is what is my main interest. Whether I am involved, whether as a public servant, which I am not, because I'm into other areas, but I am interested and very concerned about my country and our people. Very, very concerned, and want the very best, nothing less for this country. And that is always what is on my mind. Whether my party is in government or my party is not in government, St. Kitts and Nevis is number one. As far as I am concerned, I recognize, accept, and appreciate St. Kitts and Nevis as the unofficial heaven and earth. A beautiful place where I love, I live, and I want to enjoy. And that is why I also ask our people, all of our citizens, whatever we can do to build our country, that is what matters most. Whatever they choose to do, that is not going to build our country in terms of crime and all kind of things that is not important. Because when you get involved in crime, as I said before, crime create loss. And those loss come with a cost. And somebody got to bear the cost. Either the family or the government. And who, when it comes to the government, the treasury, the people, the taxpayers' money that could be used to do so many different things when it comes to building up our country. So I will just leave it there, but I just want to continue to say that I am happy and proud for our country's development over the years, and different leaders would have made their contribution, which they have that right, because the only right a man has a right to do is what is right. And if you want to come to public service, come to public service. It is about service. It is about service. It's about giving the best that can benefit our people. At the end of it, the people, the family, the communities, and by extension, the country. And that is what matters most to me. I will leave it the others for another time, because there are so much that I really want to touch on and to debate and to interact and to discuss. But it's always when you have fun, getting close to 10, and I know, Mark, that soon you will have to run. So we will have to come back another time. And the most important thing is always, if you don't leave, you definitely can come back. So I will give you the opportunity to wrap, and we will continue the dialogue another time.
Thank you very much for your call. And you raised a few points. You talk about the politics, but caller, which of us isn't politicking? That's the reality. The government who's in, party that's in government, talks about their achievements, their accomplishments. They seek to reinforce to the public the good things that they've done and continue to do. Some see it as politicking, because in a way that is what it is. You're reminding people of the good that you're doing, and sometimes it's also necessary to remind people of the bad that was done by your predecessors. That is the nature of politics. We should not be surprised by that. You played some politics when you called in just now. You place your punches. As a citizen, you are entitled to do that as well. I think that we need to leave room for that kind of realization that we are in a democracy, and that's what happens. You turn on CNN, you turn on BBC, anytime you turn them on, what you get happening? The government making its side and the opposition making its side. That's the nature of democracy. So I don't see a problem with that. You said, as the Prime Minister discussed this freedom movement thing with me, he has not. But again, we had a meeting of 2 hours yesterday discussing a host of matters that did not come up. Maybe he did not see it as critical, and I certainly did not have it on my agenda. I had some other pressing matters that I needed to discuss with the Prime Minister. So again, that is where it is. My position on the thing is known, but I'm not the government. So it will be for the government to make its determination as to the way forward. Anyway, caller, you took us to the end of the show. The band has struck up, and that means we have to go. I want to thank all who called in, all who shared and were part of the show this evening. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on Von Radio, the voice of Nevis, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse. Thank you, good night, and God bless and keep you. And just remember that not this weekend, but the following weekend, we will have the cleanup of white goods in Lower Bath. You'll hear more about Lower St. John's, forgive me, from Cane Garden down to Bath. You will hear more of that from us as we go forward. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.